We doing another podcast, Garland.
Yes, this is number 4.
Number four,
Yeah.
number four. And we're going to talk about an issue that a lot of couples experience is financial issues today. You know, I was reading something and it said that finances was one of the top things for fights. And 41% of couples say that it's going to be inevitable when they talk about money, that it's always going to be a fight. You know, and I love when this person was saying, well, the reason why financial issues come up so much with two people is because both partners have different core values about money. Now, that's true. And today, I think when we're talking about finances, we're talking about sharing money, but that's for married folks, right? Or do you think that boyfriend and girlfriend should share money, or should get things together, or we're talking about marriages?
Yeah, I think we should be sticking to marriage. If you're not married, then maybe having joint accounts might not be the most wisest thing to do, in my opinion, because you don't know. If you're building a future with somebody, you don't want to start building it until you are actually in covenant in marriage. So
I totally agree with you on that one. When it comes to finances, I think one of the things that we all have to look at when we are with somebody early on is just find out information about, what are their thoughts on finances. I think that has to be a topic that comes up even when you're dating.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about finances and how do you feel about certain things? Do you agree with that?
Yes. I think, some people are more budget conscious than others. Some people like to fly by the seat of their pants when it comes to money. I think those are conversations that need to be had, especially if you're thinking about building future with somebody and getting married one day. You need to find out, among other things, but we're talking about money today, to find out what their views is on money and how to handle it and how to steward it.
Yeah. And I think that too, that comes a lot from when you talk about like goal setting. A lot of times I think I remember when we were trying to work towards goals in our marriage, financial goals, we would sit down. I think Sunday evenings were usually our days that we would sit down and have conversation about, okay, where are we going? Or what do we want to do with this money? Or so I think it's being respectful of one another, because I was reading something that it said it's a lot of financial infidelity going on. I was like, wow, I didn't, that was something
What is financial infidelity?
Financial infidelity is a lot of times when couples hide money from each other. They don't tell people about big purchases and stuff. Well, what do you think about?
Well, wouldn't you see it though when they brought it home?
Well, not necessarily, girl. And it's not like, because I'm speaking for a woman. You could buy a couple of pair of shoes and then some. And it not go noticed or anything like that. I don't think the financial infidelity is somebody going out there buying a big old car or something. It's like little things. But I think the issue is, the root is, what would make a person feel that they couldn't share?
Yeah.
That they were buying something. Do you agree with that? Like, what would make a person feel that way?
Maybe one thing would be that you feel like, that person is going to say, I don't want you to get it.
Right.
That could be that's the only reason I can think of. I want to get it. You don't want me to get it. So I'm going to get it without telling you, because I think you're going to tell me that I shouldn't get it. So
right.
I think that's what it really boils down to.
Right. And I think that's what that we have to have those discussions, to sit down and actually have a budget about that, to know. And then this brings me to the next topic about financial infidelity that I didn't understand, was that being married. Now we're talking about marriage again, but what about people having same bank accounts? Like, I know everybody, and let me say again, this is only our opinion. This is not, anything that we're saying. If you don't have it, or if you do have it, you're doing something wrong. We're just troubleshooting today, y'all. So how do you feel about people? Should couples have the same bank account? Like, should they share the same bank account? Like, yeah.
I think it's wise to have one bank account. You can have multiple bank accounts, and you should probably have multiple bank accounts, especially if you're setting apart for bills or if you have a business and things like that. But I think both people should be on the same account.
Right. So what is your reason though? Why though? Do you think that?
I think it's accountability. Not having a temptation to, like you said, have that financial instability or what did you call it? Financial infidelity.
Right.
And not having that be an option when you can see all the money coming out the account. So you eliminate that even being a possibility, because you can't hide when everything is out in the open. And whenever everything is out in the open, that's the best way to live life. There's no secrets. There's no temptations to have secrets, especially when it comes to money.
Right. And that is true. I do know some people have multiple accounts. People have savings accounts. I know a lot of times with us, we call it our she money.
What is she money?
That's her money. That's the woman's money. That's her money. Her she money, right? But I still believe that everybody should know what is in that account. Sometimes people may feel that if you know what's in my account, it's a form of control. And then too, it depends on how people work in their marriage. I mean, because some people be like, you pay the ComEd bill, I pay the night court, you pay this bill and I pay this bill. It just depends on how you work together. But I do agree, of what you said about having that same account and being accountable to one another.
Yeah, I mean, you can have your own account, but both names should be on account. Even just in case of emergencies, like what if something happens and you have to get money out the account for something. I wouldn't be able to do it if my name wasn't on it.
That's true.
Yeah, you can have your own account and you could pay if people have it set up where you pay certain bills, I pay certain bills. That's fine, but access is what we're talking about. You need to be able to have access to the account. You need to have access to all my accounts. I need to have access to all yours. Even with our business, we do it like that.
Right.
My name is on yours. Your name is on mine. Just in case. You never know.
Right. So, Garland, let me ask you this. What if you're married to somebody and they have what I'm going to call sticky fingers? And what sticky fingers is, like, what if you have somebody and they have an addiction, like they have a shopping addiction or they have a gambling addiction? How would you advise a person or people in marriages because that could be a reason why somebody doesn't let somebody on their money, because they may blow through the money. Because remember, we all come from different backgrounds. True enough, you should, settle that before you get into that relationship. But so what is a person supposed to do in that situation?
Well, I agree. You should try and hash all that out in the beginning, but a lot of times you don't know. And sometimes, people don't want to, they want to walk in deliverance from it, but it's still a struggle. So they don't want to tell you, because now you'll look at me different. But I mean, there's a few ways you can handle it. One of the ways would be, first of all, if you are struggling in an area like that, especially with gambling, they have help for that. You can get help. You can seek counseling, and you can get somebody to help you through it. And I actually know someone that did go through that and was successful with it.
Okay.
And once you get to that point, but you still want to be accountable. So, one of the ways could be you could set a limit on how much money that person can take out the account, whether it's daily or weekly or monthly or whatever. Then that way there's a protection set around them to protect them from themselves. And this has to be something that, of course, they will both, you both agree on. But if you're struggling with, shopping too much or gambling or, whatever it is, that you're wrong. So you want to try and be better. So that's when you have to work together. Setting up parameters like that, like, you can only take out a certain amount of money. I think that's one of the best ways to do it. And have an alert come to the other person's phone whenever money comes out. That's another way. Just for accountability, not trying to hold somebody hostage or say I don't trust you, but it's just accountability. And a good way to make that work is saying I'll do the same thing for you. You have the same, I'll have the same limit you do. We can work together so we can get through this.
Right. And I think that's good when you said accountability, because that can be a struggle for some people, is having that accountability. And let me say this, if you're dating or if you're seeing somebody, make sure that this comes up in conversation. Don't go ahead and get with a covenant or in a marriage with somebody and you guys never discuss finances. It has to come up, because we talked about gambling, but somebody can have a pure shopping addiction. People always think it's women, but I mean, it could be a man. They could all have like a shopping addiction. It all depends on how you were raised and how you handle your finances. And I can really say that when you are not under financial stress, the house is at peace. When you are under financial stress in your household, the household is not at peace, because you always fighting about something, because you stressed out. The bill collectors calling. Everybody, it want money for this, want money for that, and want money for this, and the kids need things, and you're not able to do that. And if you are not careful, it could become a cycle. A cycle. Don't you agree? Like, because we've been there before. That's why we could talk about it, because we've been there before.
Oh yes, and when we went through times with repossession, card coming, a guy coming on the first Monday of every month, knocking on the door with 3 a.m. with the flashing lights out. All that stuff is embarrassing, but it's part of the process. And when you're struggling to come out, sometimes you just have to go through things. And like you said, we've been through it. We came out on the other side, and I know now that being on the other side of it, first of all, I don't want to ever go back to that.
Right.
But at the same time, I have to be careful that I don't live in fear of going back to it, because that can be another type of cycle where now you're stressing out about money when you don't have to, and you're worried about. I think it was a famous actor that I heard that had millions of dollars in the bank, but because he grew up broke, he stressed out about money every day still. So it's a mindset thing. So like you said, we got to break those cycles and know. Yeah, we could talk about it now, but I wish we would have had somebody to help us when we were struggling, because, like you said, it was times where we didn't know how we were gonna make it. Tension in the house and things like that, and it's just not good. It's not a good place to be.
It's not a good place to be, and it's not. And if we could be of any help, to any couples out there that are struggling with money, you're struggling with, different accounts and different this. One of the things that I could say can be the most hardest thing to do, but could be a simple step, is to sit down together and come up with a plan. Come up with a plan of how you're going to get out of debt, how you are going to manage your money, who's going to do what, because Garland, we stay in a microwave generation. We want things just like this. We want things to happen for us just like this. But the thing about it is going to take time. But in the process, you will be so happy that you did go through that. And I mean, not go through the financial part, but that you did take out the time to say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to budget with this. This is how we're going to budget with that, and keep the goal set, because it's time, especially for couples, you want to teach your kids about money, right?
Yeah.
You want to teach your kids about money, because if you don't, it's going to be a generational thing. You just can't live for today. You have to live for tomorrow. What are we doing? What are we instilling in our kids? What are we telling them? Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with having nice things, but as long as you can afford them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's when you look at it, especially like if you're new to, a relationship and you're trying to build a future, I think one of the things, we hear it said all the time, don't live above your means. But something that you and I learned was, in order to really have peace when it comes to finances, is to live below your means.
Yeah.
Meaning that if they tell me that I can afford a $300,000 house, doesn't necessarily mean I have to buy one at $300,000. If they tell me I get approved to buy a $80,000 car, doesn't necessarily mean I need to buy a $80,000 car.
Right.
So when you set a little buffer in there, so you can have money and space to be at peace, where I know that if, God forbid, like when COVID happened, if I had to get laid off, I wouldn't be stressed out. You know, I wouldn't be running to the mailbox every day trying to figure out when my unemployment is going to come. But I have a buffer. I have room to work with here, because I'm not. I don't know the statistic. I remember reading it, but it was very surprising to me of how many people don't have a savings account. And I mean, we spent first 3/4 of our marriage without having a savings account, because it was check to check.
Right.
And it's like we said, because we didn't have the wisdom that we have now, that just because they say I can get it, don't mean I should get it. And that's what you mean by, can you afford it? Affording it means that it's not saying I can afford it on paper, but if you, I think it was one of our mentors taught us that if you could go up to like 70% of what they say, that's probably that 30% is your buffer. That way you're not stressing out and you're not depleting your money. Like my grandmother used to tell me, or my mom used to tell me, that whenever I would get money, and when I was younger, whenever I get money, it burned a hole in my pocket, meaning that I got to spend it right away.
Yeah.
So don't max out on it, because that's what we need to have peace, is you need a little buffer.
Right. I agree. And, also too, another thing, girl, that I want to talk about when it comes up to money, another thing is, I'm just going to be honest with you, social media. I mean, people look at their friends, they look at this, they look at people's highlights, because that's what social media is some people's highlights. And then they get caught up in it. They get caught up in, oh, look at their life, or look at their house, or look at this, or I think my parents back in the day used to call it keeping up with the Joneses. You're trying to keep up with somebody else. You don't know somebody's life. You don't know what it took for them to get to what they have. You don't even know if it's theirs. You don't even know if it's in their name.
That's true.
So what we all need to do is the focus on ourselves. And when you come into covenant with somebody, when you are in a marriage, those are discussions and things that you have to have, because if you don't, it would keep you paralyzed in a cycle. Because I feel like until we really started sitting down, looking and budgeting and saying, this is what we have to work with, it was just a cycle, living check to check. We wasn't coming out of that. We wasn't paying nothing off, So those are things that you have, which can be hard. Also bringing your money together, and saying, like you said, having that accountability, it's okay, because girl, listen, sometimes a person may want a little separate things, because what if you want to surprise somebody for their birthday or something, so we're not saying that. We are just saying that to have that accountability for everybody's name, especially marriage, to be on there on the accounts. God forbid, what if somebody pass away? What if somebody passes away? People say, well, that person is the beneficiary. But what they don't know is that if your name is not on that account, you're going to get so much. They're going to tax you for that money before they give you that money as the beneficiary. So that's a nugget right there. If you're married, both people's name really needs to be on that account, because if something happens, that person can get what they need, to survive or to take care of arrangements or anything like that. So money is a big, big thing. Anything else, Garland, that you want to say about that money?
Well, I think too, another thing to think about, especially when people are coming into, relationships that are grown, and that's happening more and more. People are getting married later in life than, it used to be. And let's say if you're getting married and you're in your late 30s or 40s or whatever, you've actually at that point hopefully built something for yourself, whether it's a home or a home or a business or whatever it is. And I think sometimes you can look at it when you're coming in. First of all, I have my own.
Yeah.
So I may not need you. But if I have my own and I'm struggling and you have your own and you're not struggling and we come together, now you have the issue, well, why should I put my money with your money to pay the bills that you made for yourself? That don't have nothing to do with me. So you have to realize that it does have something to do with you when you get in covenant with somebody. Now, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine.
Yeah.
And we come together, the good and the bad. So now it's a humbling thing to say, you know, I love you enough that I'm willing to help you because I want us to be successful together.
Right.
So it's a, you know, that's another caveat to it, is taking that into consideration, that if somebody does have bills or bad credit, you know, coming in, you have to work together to help and not point the finger at them because, you know, you didn't make the same bad decisions they did.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the age that I am now, I mean, I'm married, but you know, if somebody, in my opinion, if you got bad credit and stuff, you're going to fix that before. You know, you're going to get that stuff before I come in. I won't ever marry nobody that bad that, you know, the things that I've worked for can be at risk because of your credit. So that's just me, my personal opinion. I wouldn't advise nobody. I would say that let them work together to get that down before, or let that person work together, you know, to get there, because that's their responsibility. Because, you know, you don't want something to happen because those bill collectors become y'all bill collectors now. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
I think it's, you know, there's multiple ways to look at that too, because there are circumstances that sometimes are beyond your control.
True.
A good example would be a woman that's divorced, and she went through whatever she went through with her husband, and it messed up her credit.
Right.
So that's not her fault.
Right.
And in that situation, coming in, I don't really think that it would be right to tell her, well, you need to fix your credit before I get with you, because you know it's not her fault. So if it's your bad decisions, then yeah, you can weigh the options. But even in that situation, I think that if we're coming together, because we've all made bad decisions with money, and some more than others. Some people got into the real estate game when it was high and lost everything and ruined their credit on a risk and trying to do something. It almost happened to us.
Right.
So I think when it comes to things like that, you gotta weigh the reasons why. Is it just the person, you know, has bad decisions when it comes to money, or was it, you know, a business that failed, or like I said, a failed relationship or marriage where things fell on you, things like that? I don't think that you should hold them responsible for things, especially when it's not their fault.
Well, yeah, I think it's a situation. Yeah, girl, I go with you. It depends on the situation. But I'm talking about, you were talking about when older people are getting married. Older people means that, you know, you're getting ready for things in life. You're getting ready for your retirement. You want to be mindful when you link up with somebody who has money issues like that, I feel, because their money issues becomes your money issues. And so that's all I was saying. Just be mindful of that when you come into those relationships. But like you said, it is on a case-by-case situation. But I mean, I would just be careful. That's about it, though. I mean, just, you know, money needs to be talked about. Money needs to be stressed. Money is very important in a relationship. Money is how we survive. I mean, it is what it is. Of course, God, you know, we never take him out of it, but we just have to, it just has to be talked about. And you have to know how that person feels. And it has to be a respect issue when it comes to money. And I love how this whole podcast, Garland, that you said accountability, because accountability, if you don't get anything from this, accountability is going to be that one thing to stop that money infidelity, that financial infidelity, because you are accountable to somebody. You agree?
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
So we good?
Yeah.
We good. So we troubleshooted you guys today. Hopefully you got some nuggets that you could take with you, whether you're dating, even whether you're single, when you know, or you know, you're waiting for a spouse, or when you get with a spouse, or for my married people out there, these are issues that continue. I think we will continue to talk about that.
Yeah.
is money.
Yep.
Money.
That's it.
That's what it's about, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to Troubleshooting. Tell your family, tell your friends to get on as we are in season 1. This is season 1 that we're in right now. We would love to hear from you guys. So, Garland, anything you want to say before we get off?
No, that's it. I'm done talking tonight. And I hope you got something out of it. We're not trying to come off as, better than anybody like
Never.
that. And, I always say people look at your glory, they don't know your story. So what we're doing is we're trying to give a little piece of our story and let you know what we've been through, the wisdom, the nuggets that we've had over the years, things that we've learned, trial and error. It's better to learn from somebody else's mistakes than to make them and learn from them yourself. So that's all we're doing. So we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, you guys. Bye-bye. Another episode of Troubleshooting. Bye-bye.